What's going on, everybody? Welcome to today's YouTube video. Another whiteboard talk with Coach Jack, all about the weekly average method, or AKA social refeeds, and how to work those into a diet. But if you are looking to lose weight, I have a cookbook for you guys, 120 high protein, low calorie recipes, plus 5 bonuses about how to kickstart your fat loss, how to find your maintenance calories, figure out your macros, track said calories, workout program, and more, an entire tutorial about how to lose fat in the next 90 days, the exact blueprint myself and all my clients follow. So if you're interested in doing it yourself, head to jackedcookbook.com, has all the details and less than your meal out at Chipotle. So super cheap, pick that up, jackedcookbook.com. Without further ado, let's head into the video. Today's topic is all about the weekly average method, AKA social refeeds. So I say this a lot all the time about how my clients work in social refeeds. They have days where we actually increase their calories for social events. We do this on purpose while still stripping body fat off. And what it comes down to is essentially their weekly average is still being hit in a calorie deficit for the weight to come off. So I kind of drew a graph here. Not the best artist, but I did have some help drawing the straight lines, which is good. So essentially what we're looking at here is, let's say, I'll go ahead and write this down. We'll call them male, we'll say 5'11" and 210 pounds. And let's say they are, I don't know, let's say 26% body fat, something like that. But essentially, we have a male, 5'11", 210 pounds, they're moderately active, work out a few times a week, and their maintenance is 2,500. So I'll write this, maintenance. Okay, so their maintenance is 2,000 calories, 500. And the way you need to find that out is, one, go to a TDEE calculator online. Of course, as I mentioned, I do have that linked with my cookbook, but the biggest thing there is we need to know our maintenance, right? That is one of the major keys of this entire process. Well, not only this weekly average method, but fat loss as a whole. Fat loss, muscle building, body transformations, recomps, you need to know your maintenance calories. And I would always say start with the calculator, but also we need to track. We need to track accurately for, I'd say, 2 to 4 weeks. So we do understand, okay, when we intake all of food, all these calories, does my weight go up or does my weight go down? Because a couple days, not enough time. Your weight will fluctuate. So we need to figure out our maintenance. Let's say this person has done that. They figure out their maintenance and it's 2,500 calories. Now they want to go ahead and lose some body fat. So how do they do that? They need to get themselves into a 500 calorie deficit across the entire week, or their average needs to become a 500 calorie deficit. So we have that line, this dashed line right here of 2,000 calories. So theoretically, they could just go ahead and eat 2,000 calories every day and be in that calorie deficit. But the big thing there is sometimes people have life events. They want to be social. All my clients are lifestyle clients. They aren't bodybuilders, they aren't competitors, no longer am I. So we have this social refeed method to increase our calories for certain events. The big thing here is you guys can see essentially Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we are eating 1,900 calories. So actually a little bit less than our 500 calorie maintenance, our 500 calorie deficit of 2,000. Therefore, we are essentially quote unquote saving up or banking extra calories to add to Saturday. And of course, this could be Friday, this could be Sunday. You can pick whatever day you want. But typically, I have most of my clients do that on Saturday, as that's typically when we have a social event. Sometimes it'll be on Sunday too. But we pick one day of the week and actually bump our calories slightly above our maintenance up to 2,600. The biggest thing there is we can see, let's say minus 100, minus 100, I continue that along the top. So essentially what we're doing is we are banking 100 calories on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and Sunday to then add here, right? So we're gonna go ahead and bump that up plus 600. So what's that doing is essentially what we're creating is a single day with higher calories, but at the same time, the weekly average still ends up being 2,000, right? Because we're minus 100, 100, 100 6 times. We increase our calories 600 right here on that one social refeed day, and our weekly average, hence the name, the weekly average method, still ends up being 2,000, which is our deficit. So, right, that's has to be our weekly average. Whoops. There is an A in there. I do how not spell average, but that ends up being our weekly average, even though we had a day that's actually higher than our maintenance because we saved up or banked a little bit of calories throughout the week by eating at 1,900 rather than 2,000, we were able to have that social refeed. Now, a couple big things we need to watch out for. One, as we mentioned, you need to know your maintenance. Two, you need to track accurately. making sure that we actually are in said calorie deficit around 1900 calories is critical, right? We can't assume that we're in this calorie deficit and have a social refeed. That might throw everything off. And if we are suddenly at like 2000 calories all week and we eat 2600, that will affect our rate of weight loss and our calorie deficit. Number two, be okay with weight spikes. The fact that we are having a little bit more calories, typically a little more carbs on Saturday, means that our Sunday or next Monday weigh-in might be a little bit higher, right? Because we have more food, more carbs, a little more water retention from this bigger meal or these bigger meals here on Saturday, means our Sunday or Monday weigh-ins might jump up. So you have to be okay mentally with that, seeing the weight go up, even though what you know by tracking accurately right here, that we are still in a calorie deficit and over time the weight will still go down. Lastly, I said just have a reason to use it, right? So although yes, I do think social refeeds can be used as regular quote unquote refeeds to increase your calories, increase your energy, the biggest thing there is we are using those to still feel like we can quote unquote be sustainable, enjoy social events and activities with family and friends while we're in that dieting phase. And I've been doing this for over probably 2 months now on my own. Every single weekend I'm having an event, I'm having more calories, I'm enjoying life. But during the week, Monday through Friday, I'm dialed in, I'm hitting my calories, I'm hitting my steps, and I can still work in, whether it be a steak dinner, grilling out, burgers, eating out with family on my social refeed. It still makes me feel like I'm enjoying life and not sacrificing too much. So a couple things to watch out for as well though, this is not a cheat meal, right? We are still tracking this. This is still tracked. This is still something we are tracking in our food app at 2600. This is not a eat whatever you want kind of day. This is not a, eat, let's say breakfast, lunch, and have a complete cheat meal for dinner. This is still tracked. That is a key difference there. This is not a cheat meal. This is not a free day or a free meal. This is something that's still tracked and just happens to be a little bit more calories and worked into the diet. So that's a big thing. Watch out for cheat meals because cheat meals could easily be up here at like 4K calories, right? We want to avoid the 4,000 calories. We want to stay within our 2,600 calorie range. As far as the mindset problems, we talked about that. As far as the weight fluctuations, you have to be okay with seeing that weight spike on Sunday and Monday and still sticking with the program, right? And getting right back to it. As far as triggers, if there are certain foods or events that trigger you to go too far off course, right? So some of my clients, they do drink alcohol and they notice if they go ahead and let's say save up 600 calories for some drinks, that almost always comes with maybe a little bit more food, maybe some late night Taco Bell or giving into their cravings. So a big thing is watch out for triggers. If you notice, hey, potato chips you can't put down, pint of Ben & Jerry's you can't put down before you exceed your calorie amount, alcohol, something you just overconsume no matter what. So you exceed your calorie amount. We have to watch out for those triggers and make sure that we aren't exceeding that social refeed amount because it's still being tracked. That is the big thing. And also, worry about being too flexible. So occasionally, I'll have clients that will ask me, hey Jack, like this sounds great, but what if I go with like 1,500 calories, right? So they're slashing their calories down to like 1,500 all week, right? So they're going boom, 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 cutting these way down, and they're like, oh, and that gives me another day. So I can actually increase this guy up to, let's say, 3K, and have this one also at like 3K, or whatever the math would work out to be, right? So these are like 1,500 calories during the week. This is where you can kind of get into that kind of binge and restrict cycle. If you're cutting your calories too low on, let's say, Monday through Friday or some of those days, just in order to eat a ton of, I would say, crappy food on the weekend, that is not doing you any favors in terms of losing fat specifically, recomping your body and have a better physique. This giant slash in calories during the weekday is going to cause you to be extremely hungry, extremely irritable, low energy, probably poor performance, poor cognitive function, and then you're just going to eat a bunch of crap on the weekend that's not going to be supporting your body. That's just going to have you have even a bigger weight spike. So this weight spike on Monday might go from 1 or 2 pounds to 5 or 6 pounds, and it's just a bad cycle to get into. So watch out the too flexible approach. We're like, oh yeah, I can go ahead and just not eat Friday and double my calories on Saturday. Probably not your best bet, right? Then you won't have any protein on Friday. You'll be really hungry. Saturday, you'll be looking for all the junk food and just won't have the same performance at energy levels throughout. So be careful with being too aggressive. I do think you might be able to get away with like maybe going like minus 200 on some of these days and giving yourself a double refeed. So you also bring up this day to about 2,600. 2,600, but just be careful with going too far above or below your kind of like, I would say, calorie deficit or maintenance, because that's when you get into that kind of binge and restrict cycle that can be pretty dangerous. And I've even seen some clients that'll come to me like, they'll eat like crazy amounts of food on the weekend and they'll fast for Monday and Tuesday, thinking that by fasting, they're also doing themselves a benefit because their weight comes down, but yet their physique honestly looks horrible. So biggest thing there is be careful of being too flexible with this approach. But I do think saving up, let's say maybe 5 to 10% of your calories each day for a little bit of a boost on your weekends for a social event or a social refeed is completely perfect. So hopefully that all makes sense. If you guys have any questions, please let me know. Leave those down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer every single question. But yeah, that is just one example, right? These numbers will change per person based on the statistics, right? Male, female, height, weight, all that kind of stuff. But this is a great way to still kind of have a calorie deficit and a fat loss goal being achieved while having a little bit of flexibility on your weekend. So yeah, this is definitely customizable per person. This is not a one set in stone method, but you can be flexible with it. Like I said, the cheat meal could be on, or not cheat meal, the social refeed could be on Friday, could be on Sunday. There's some flexibility there. But yeah, that's the weekly average or the social refeed method I talk about all the time on my channel that I use with myself and all my clients, or at least 99% of them. But yeah, without further ado, I'll end things here. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe if you haven't already. And we've got Maisie. Oh, you guys can't see her. I'll pick her up. Oh, woo. See you guys next time. Peace.